So, I want to say,
Yes.
whoever is listening to this, yeah, welcome and all that stuff in it, and yeah, click subscribe and whatever, and click on the click on the bell, and yeah, and ignore my attire, and this is all Kaz.
As I say, like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Get in.
Like,
Get in.
comment, subscribe, uh, and ignore the attire. This is all Kaz, and I'm just in. Yeah, I'm not even trying really to impress, so you don't even go there with the comments or anything. So basically, this is like some tech talk you're never ever gonna experience like
Okay, so
anywhere.
this is so
Hold
how we're
on,
gonna
this
drop
is
it.
the intro, isn't it? I gotta drop the
How we're
intro.
gonna drop it is that we're gonna be like talking tech talk, but in our vernacular,
Yeah,
the
this
way
is
that we talk,
this
so
is
that
street tech,
people
mate.
that talk like us can understand and get it more simply than hearing a bunch of dudes that maybe they don't really relate to that well. So
Exactly. This is
we're going
just
to break it down how we speak, how we understand things, and put in a few different references from our knowledge, from our background, from our culture, and we'll see if it has a
yeah.
if it has a.
This is like the holistic. You know, we like learning things holistically all around.
I just thinking that we'll kind of. I feel like I'm full of bullshit right now, to be honest, but
Yeah.
okay, let's
All
just
right.
start.
I'm getting hot. Okay, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Greg. I am a technologist. I'll describe myself as a technologist. Um, a person's very interested in technology. Very much into programming. Quite a bit into machine learning and artificial intelligence. Also, very interested in security and human rights.
Oh,
So those are my kind of yeah. Currently, I'm working at a company where we take telematics data. So we take GPS positions from your phone every second and kind of figure out what kind of driver you are. We create a profile of how good a driver you are and sell it to insurance companies. So quite a lot of different experience. Been programming for probably about 30 years.
wow,
God, since '94. So
wow.
nearly, yeah, since, well, and probably longer. I've been like professionally since '97. Um, so that'd be nearly about 20 something years.
So you're an OG in the world of IT, as they say.
I'm an OG. I'm not an old. I'm not an old G.
Not an
An
OG,
OG.
an OG.
Oh, you
If
could
it
say
was hip
that. But
hop,
I mean, the
in
thing
hip
is,
hop, you're an OG.
I'm an OG. Yeah. Oh, and we need an OG emoji.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so I go by the name of Thirds because that's my online sort of name anyway, and I am working for a big company. I'm not gonna say the name, but put it this way, it's Forbes top 50 somewhere around there. But anyway, not gonna say what the company is. And I got a computer science background, and in the computer science degree, I covered a whole load of modules relating to all sorts of things, like obviously programming, image processing. You know, they do modules like semantics and graph theory and all sorts of crazy stuff, and half the stuff you don't even use, funnily enough.
Mhm.
And then went on to fell into technical support because I really wanted to do computer games, but I feel like I'm one of those. If it was the world of football or being a rapper, it's like, or I didn't make it to the Premier League. So I'm doing support.
Right, I'm gonna have it violin out for you.
making making computer games was the Premier League for me, but You know, one of these actors that they become a teacher instead. But anyway, I'm only joking. So, yeah, so I mainly do support and setting up servers and systems and all round. But now recently I'm doing
Yeah, you know
I'm
what?
programming as
First
well.
of all,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never worked. Well, I have worked briefly in the games company. It wasn't like one of these top games companies, but that isn't fun. Like the amount of like they really people that make computer games are seriously, seriously overworked. And
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of I think it sounds quite exciting because the products that they come out with are really
Yeah.
amazing products, but they work so hard. I mean, they hardly get to see their families. They don't have
Mm.
any life outside of that. It's kind of like it's like working for a bank with all the stress,
Yeah.
but not as much money.
So it
So,
so
I don't know.
it sounds better than it actually is.
I think it sounds a lot more glamorous than it actually is,
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
in my opinion. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've come here together today to just chat tech, um, and as Greg said earlier, like stuff that in a more open, not so jargony fashion that makes people run away. Um, so there are quite a few things out there that people are not they hear the terminology like all over the news and stuff, but they don't really know what the heck it is. And I thought it would be good to just sort of maybe go over some things that you might be able to explain. Um, so the first thing I suppose would be for me artificial intelligence. Like people hear artificial intelligence and they kind of know what it is, and they kind of don't know what it is. It's like they see these, I don't know, these videos on Chinese robots doing things like walking upstairs and things like that, or they see um, Google cars driving around, but they still kind of don't know what artificial intelligence is. So if you could explain it in as basic ways you possibly could,
Yeah, I
um,
can. I can.
and
I think.
the other and there's also other terminologies like deep learning and big data and stuff like that. And are they even linked together, or are they completely two different things to do with artificial intelligence? Or yeah,
They are
basically.
linked. They
Okay.
are linked, but they're not the same thing. They
Uh,
are linked and they're not the same thing. I think
Start with artificial intelligence.
yeah, so starting off with artificial intelligence, this idea of artificial intelligence is is a new programming model, basically, and that's all it is. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. The goal of okay, let's talk about machine learning first of all. Machine learning is a new programming model, and previously, if you wanted to program uh, a computer or a robot that makes you a cup of tea, you'd have to specify everything about about how to perform this making a cup of tea from what angle to if the cup is 50 centimeters to the left, to adjust your arm 50 centimeters to the left, move forward until your arm is in the same coordinates as the cup, squeeze until the cup has given you a certain amount of resistance, lift. You'll have to literally specify every single instruction line by line, um, and to the computer in order to make a cup of tea. But then the problem becomes very difficult to program for all situations, because what if the cup is 25 centimeters to the left? What if the cup is laying on its side? What if it's on the shelf? And so you have these problems that traditional programming, line by line programming, couldn't solve. Um, then came about machine learning, which is actually a way of show. It's a program that runs where you give the computer examples of lifting the cup, of making a cup of tea. So and the computer infers what the general idea is behind all of these examples, and then produces its own program that meets all of those general examples. So, for example, if we take the thing about making a cup of tea, instead of programming line by line, move the arm 50 centimeters to the left, move it forward, what we do is we show the computer many, many examples of people making a cup of tea, and including maybe we're giving the computer some feed input data from the arm's position in space versus what the camera's view is, and the computer takes all that information is in and generalizes what's happening in common, what is the common response stimuli to in all of these different scenarios, and makes a program that is actually able to make a cup of tea from all of these um, different examples. So it's more like learning by example. That's machine learning. Um, and in order to train these algorithms, these machine learning algorithms, you need a hell of a lot of examples, like so many examples to cover almost every single instance of possibilities of occurrences that can happen. This is why um, the self-driving cars stuff is taking so long to actually mature, because they are trying to get as to to make the computer able to um, be able to respond to as many different scenarios as possible. They're trying to amass as much driving data as possible. I think they've done over, I don't know, 20 million miles worth of driving and recording scenarios, so these machines can figure out what the general aspect of driving is.
Yeah.
And that's big data. Being able to manage that amount of data to put into to place into the algorithms, they call it big data, just basically when you're shoving terabytes of data or processing terabytes of data.
Yeah.
So there we've got machine learning um, and big data. Uh,
But okay, so the question is it really artificial intelligence? Like, if you're telling it the end goal, like, are is it really, because you're saying to it, no, that's not right. Yes, that's right. No, that's not right. I'm assuming. So, is
well,
it
that's what your
like,
parents do, right? When you're a child and you don't know anything, they tell you that's not right. This is how you walk. This is essentially this is how we learn. And the question is, I mean, it becomes a bit of a philosophical question.
yeah,
Is is machine intelligence any different to um, to human intelligence? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, or if it walks forward when a duck would walk forward, and it turns left when a duck turns left, and if it says things or quacks like how a duck would quack in the same different scenarios, is it does it have a mental model any different from a duck? I mean, is there something sacred about human or natural intelligence that cannot be replicated in silicon? And I it's because we don't know exactly how the brain works. We can't necessarily say that anything that works in a similar way isn't doesn't have the same qualities in a sense. I don't know. It's a
mm,
philosophical question, I think.
yeah, because I would say that the reason why, like a child, because whenever you say things like, learning to, like, telling teaching it to make a cup of tea, that's like kind of teaching a 5 or 7 year old to make a cup of tea, who's physically able to do something, and you're giving it instructions, but you can train like a monkey to do sign language or something as well, right?
Mhm.
But what I'm getting at is that there's a desire for something to learn, like, sometimes there's like a child, there's a desire for it to know how to walk. So stops crawling, and then it starts trying to walk on 2 legs, and then it fails itself, and then it fails, and then eventually it starts walking on 2 legs. But it's its own desire to to get to that stage,
Hmm.
and then you tell it off
Hmm.
after, but it was its own desire to, um, it didn't even know. Well, I suppose it does. The child does know the end result because it sees its parents walking on two legs, so that's what it's trying to emulate, and then it fails and fails, and eventually, or he or she
Hmm.
walks on two legs. So I suppose it's something similar
Hmm.
because that kind of leads me on to, um, by you influencing the artificial intelligence, you can you make a computer racist because of the person who's teaching the computer. When I say racist or biased, or can you influence it in a way that might be good or evil with the artificial intelligence?
Definitely, definitely. And then this is, I mean, this goes into many different areas, but we've seen that, and I think there's a big danger in it because where we're heading at the moment is a society that has more and more computerized, or maybe say artificial intelligence influence. We're going to be delegating more and more responsibility to computers at the moment. And there's a video that I'd actually like to show you. I showed it to Esther just the other night, but I'll show you that video in a second. But yeah, as society progresses, we're going to be giving computers more and more influence and control over our lives, and it means that we have to make them fair. Now, as I said before, the this kind of artificial intelligence isn't anything magical. It's just a computer generalizing over lots and lots of examples and trying to find out what the general pattern is to a set of behaviors when given enough data.
Yeah,
However, if the data is biased, it will, if the data is biased, it will come out with a bias. And I think that was
yeah.
one, you know,
That's actually what I was supposed to say. Bias. Sorry, when I said racist, I meant bias. But go on.
that's
Sorry.
right. And I think that was seen in that example where I think there's a black couple and
Mm.
Google sort of identified them as gorillas or something.
Oh right.
If you
Okay.
remember that scandal, but there was and I don't think anybody at Google were actually, you know, sort of getting pictures of black people and labeling them gorillas. But the thing is, this algorithm had so few examples of black people that when it actually came across one, it didn't recognize. Whenever, say, because Google's workforce was predominantly white male,
Mm.
when they were sort of like labeling people, they were looking for they were showing Google white males, or white people. And when Google was presented with a black person, it was always, from its training data, it had never had that label, human, against a black person. So it looked for something else. So I just, it's very important, I think, for teams and I don't think this is I really feel that this is something that's being missed, but it's very important for teams, particularly in IT, and particularly in machine learning, or in any kind of role where computers are going to be taking more responsibility. That the teams are diverse, and there is general diversity in the way things are being trained and run, and some kind of ethical. I think we need a kind of more of an ethical code of how we're training these machines and how we're and what kind of systems we're building.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Do you want to
Anything?
see this video? Can I show you this video if I find it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do that another time?
Is it? How long is it?
Um, well, maybe you can find it on YouTube. I don't know if you. It's this new service from Google called Google Duplex. Have you heard of it?
No.
So let me just 4 minutes. So if you go, can you can you go on to on one of your screens because I can see your split screen as well. Can you just go into YouTube and type Google duplex and the video should come up of a guy speaking at Google. It's 4 minutes 12 seconds. See if you can get it on one of your screens. Oh, is that the
Duplex.
right? Yeah,
Is it a video?
DUPLE.
Is it a
Yeah,
video or is it
it's a YouTube video. So you have to search on YouTube
oh, on YouTube?
for yeah, and type Google duplex into YouTube.
Duplex. Can you see my screen? You
I
can't see.
can't see
Oh,
yours.
you
I can
can't.
see
Oh,
you.
okay. All right.
I want
Uh,
you to. It'd be good if you can put that on because that will give us something else to talk about. I think will be quite interesting.
is it the first one? Google Duplex AI assistant calls local
Yeah,
businesses. So on.
just play the first one.
The
But
progress with the
can you put it
assistant.
onto the live stream, onto
As I
the
said
video
earlier, our vision
or
for
not?
us
Can I? Sorry, can I put it on?
Can you put the video that you're playing into this video that you're recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll do it now. Do you want to see my screen as well then, or it doesn't really matter? Or should we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Technology. Share screen.
Cool. That's it. I think you've done it.
Okay.
the progress with the assistant. The progress with the assistant. As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Mm-hmm. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech. By the way, when we are done, the assistant can give you a confirmation notification saying your appointment has been taken care of. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to call a restaurant, but maybe it's a small restaurant which is not easily available to book online. The call actually goes a bit differently than expected. So take a listen.
See how may I hear you?
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
It's for 4 people.
4 people
Next
Tonight?
Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Oh, actually, we reserve for like upper like 5 people. For people, you can come.
How long is the wait usually to be seated?
For when tomorrow or weekday or?
For next Wednesday, the 7th.
Oh no, it's not too busy. You can come for 4 people. Okay.
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Again, that was a real call. We have many of these examples where the calls quite don't go as expected.
Well, I think we could probably.
But the assistant understands the
stop it
context, the
there.
nuance.
We can probably come out of the show now if you want. What are your thoughts? I can't hear you. You've gone mute. I don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, my thoughts is that was amazing if it was all real. I'm assuming it's all real, but yeah, if it was real, because the thing is, especially the second one with the accent, that is actually a good, interesting sort of thing where, say, the computer is talking clear English, but the person on the other side doesn't understand properly or isn't talking. I think talking the clear English isn't the problem. I think if the person on the other side is not understanding what the request is and gives responses that don't reflect the computer's question, if it can work that out, it's quite
Yeah, so that's
it's
really
quite
interesting.
complicated. Yeah. If the response is
But
from
what's actually happening there is really interesting because not only is, like, I don't know, it's like there's a Chinese woman and she's kind of a little bit off point, kind of. She's like chatting about, because I think we need to explain that video a little bit because I'm not sure if it will come through that well in the recording, but if you go to YouTube and type Google duplex, you can watch the video for yourself. But generally, she's chatting away. This robot's asking her, "Oh, can I book a table?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, are you more than 5 people?" So she's just completely changed the frame. What people term as what people term as the frame of the conversation.
Yeah.
She's basically switched the subject.
Yeah.
And the AI has two things, right, that it has to deal with. It has to deal with a slightly broken English and a slightly funky accent, which is a very good testament to diversity training and whatever we were talking about before, which it does perfectly. But what's the more insidious thing that most people don't pick up on is the AI has to try and shift the frame of the conversation back to what it wants.
Yeah.
Which is what this is an example of computers manipulating people. People don't really realize this, right? Everybody's like, "Oh, this is really cool," but this AI is switching the frame of the conversation in a not too abrupt way. It has to be human about it. It has to do it in a way that's very accessible to us and very persuasive. You know what I mean? And when you have computers manipulating people, then I think society needs to take a step back and say, you know, and listen to a lot of these people that are warning us about AI and say, what exactly is going on here?
Yeah, I think that it's quite interesting actually because I've been reading and learning a lot about psychology and human interaction with like when you suggest things to people and so forth, and or how like you can be distracted in a conversation and you talk about something else that you didn't want to talk about and all that. So that is actually making me think of what I've learnt recently. It's quite interesting, but yeah, not sure what I want to say about that. It's quite interesting actually.
Very interesting.
Mm.
I mean, like looking forward to the future, the first thing that's going to happen is that people are going to get a shitload of robot calls. Yeah, that's the first thing that's going to be annoying. Second thing that's going to happen is people are going to be like, okay, I need robots to answer my calls because I can't deal with all these fucking calls. And then you're going to get robot to robot calls where there should have been human to human calls.
Yeah.
And actually, what's so further than, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a complete. I mean, I'm a technologist, right? So I feel like I describe myself as a technologist. I feel like I'm closer to this technology than a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not some dude that doesn't know. I mean, I studied how some of this stuff works.
Mm.
I'm not some kind of paranoid dude like that's just sort of like freaking out about technology, but I'm actually a little bit afraid.
Yeah, me too.
Because this is going to lead to further isolation of people. Another channel,
Yeah.
most like, say for example, you call me on the phone.
Mm.
The technology is going to be so good that there's already got the technology is going to be so good that you might actually not know whether it's me that you're talking to or a robot that I've asked to
Yeah.
tell you that I can't handle the call right now.
Yeah.
I mean, because they already can copy, they can copy voices.
Yeah.
They can manipulate images. Have you seen that that AI called deep fakes? Have you heard about deep fakes?
No, but I can assume it's something that I predicted about 5 years ago, though, where they map someone else's face onto something else. Is that it?
That's exactly what it is.
That's 5 years ago.
That is exactly what it is. Deep fakes is being able to take someone's face and put it onto something else. Now,
Yeah.
I won't suggest you go onto any deep fakes websites yourself, because the sort of primary application of deepfakes has been to take your favorite celebrity and superimpose her image onto pornos, so that you can get it's kind of like customizable porn. Oh yeah, I'd like this person's face in this kind of scene. So
But
do you know is out there. Sorry.
Do you know when I first thought of all this sort of I had so many ideas about technology ideas. It was the whole, computer games way back when all texture mapping started coming out onto computer games, like Pit Fighter. I don't know if you remember, Pit Fighter was one of the first computer arcade games.
Yeah, I remember Pit Fighter.
Where they texture mapped the polygons.
Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
But the polygons are obviously big and chunky polygons. They're not like now. They're really tiny polygons, so there's like all the detail. But I remember ages ago, and this is all the time when it was all about computer games, and I was thinking about all these ideas back then. I was thinking, because back then it was, they were just introducing motion capture, and with they put all these little dots, and then the cameras can track the person's real movements, and then combining that with the polygons, and then combining that with the texture mapping. And then now we're moving on to things like virtual reality headsets, and then augmented reality, and we're just moving into the whole, Star Wars thing, where you get these big projection things, and you think you're in a Star Trek, sorry, when you're in a meeting room and all these people are around you, which all this technology, like, I mean, you'd put like a glasses on with augmented reality, so the seats are filled with people that are in the meeting, and it looks so real because it's texture mapped over polygons.
But the scary thing is the way that I see where this is going, and this is going to sound a little bit strange.
Yeah.
But where this is going towards computers programming people.
Oh yeah.
Rather than people programming computers. We've already seen it in Facebook, right?
Yeah.
What we've seen is that we can influence behavior
Yeah.
through algorithms. We
Yeah.
can influence people's voting choices.
Definitely.
Yeah, through algorithms. What we're seeing is, because back in the day, what used to happen is people used to talk to people, and then what used to happen is people used to talk to people using computers. Yeah, which is fine, but always the connection was people to people. Do you know what I mean? And then and computers are facilitating that. Now computers are taking another role where they are interacting with people on your behalf, and soon. Okay, let me explain a little bit better. Back in the day, it was people to people with computers on the periphery. Do you understand what I'm trying to say about
Yeah.
that? That the computers were something on the side that supplemented communication, that helped us look up things faster than going to the library. Well, what we're seeing now is computers are starting to move in to that space of people to people communication. And what we're seeing is that there's going to be increased isolation. Like if I call you and I don't know whether I'm actually talking to you, what we're seeing is that not only can what we'll see, for example, is computers will start to, like all these nerds, right? All these dudes that are actually programming these things that don't know how to talk to women and whatever. They'll start having computers making phone calls to them and being very charismatic, making jokes that they could never think of.
Yeah.
What will happen? What I see, and I've been in technology a long time, and I really, really, and like yourself, I really know that I really get a really good intuition for what's going to happen. What I see is computers are going to be talking to each other on our behalf.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like we're not actually going to have that much communication, and soon it will be like the roles will be switched. Where it started off with being everybody talking with computers on the outside, it'll be computers talking with us on the outside. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where, and then when if you factor into it, like that computer's going to already manipulate the path of a conversation, or in the case of what happened in Facebook, the voting direction of a nation. If you put into that mix that these computers are going to have some form of intelligence, then and they have the ability to manipulate interpersonal relationships or massive group decisions, then you've got something that, and if it has its own kind of will, or not necessarily will as we know it, but an objective function, something that either it wants to increase profitability, or it wants to make sure that it has more processing power, whatever it deems necessary for whatever its best outcome is, whatever its skewed idea of what the best outcome is going to be pretty much a very, very powerful force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So basically, at the end of the day, the robots. Will be the robots that carrying out the computers will. But it's at the point where the computer does have the will. Is the point where artificial intelligence becomes real. For me, I don't even believe artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence at this point in time until it has the will, it has its own desire to do something. Do you get what I mean?
But what is desire?
Up until then,
If
it's
we're going philosophy again, what is desire?
Yeah, but it's like it's what is desire? I think it's a combination of emotion and uh direction towards something that is wanted. I don't know. It's kind of like a want mixed with emotion, I would say.
Yeah.
Energy.
So, for example, like, okay, what I see. Let me say it as I understand it from a very sort of very cold, objective perspective. But desire is only the idea of having in mind a future scenario that you want to get to.
Yeah, but you.
Right, so that literally, so a computer can have in mind, okay, I want, I'm trying to increase the growth of this economy by 6% this year. I mean, does it matter whether you get a gut feeling, or a feeling in your belly, or feel hurt if you don't miss it? The point is that if a computer decides that it wants to meet an objective, whether that's because it's been programmed or not, and it has the ability to manipulate individual people or groups of people. It doesn't matter whether it's it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's truly intelligent or sentient.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Self-aware is
yeah.
Skynet.
It doesn't matter. That's not consideration whether it's self-aware. Whether it's self-aware is by the by.
I suppose there's different levels. I think that's the ultimate level. It's like, in Terminator when they switch on, is it Skynet or whatever? When they have to turn it on in order to eradicate some other virus that I don't know if
But what I'm saying is, the point I'm making is, whether it's self-aware or not, if it has some goal that it's trying to achieve, whether that goal is just programmed, or whether it comes from its soul, self-aware soul, it doesn't matter, because if it has the goal that it's trying to achieve, and it has the means to influence huge groups of people on an interpersonal or national level, the result is the same. It can still do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any ethics. I guess that's the point. Whether it's self-aware or not, unless we teach the computers ethics, the result is the same. It will be able to manipulate groups of people. It will be able to manipulate nations.
Yeah.
It will be able to perform surveillance on people's interactions on a level that has never been seen before.
So do you think there needs to be something to counteract it?
Well, a lot of the thought leaders have been saying this, yeah.
Sorry?
Okay, it's two things, right? A lot of the thought leaders, I call them thought leaders, but futurists, people that sort of think about the future and where we're heading with technology and stuff, they're saying, dudes, we got to address this pretty damn fast, because this is going to so soon spiral out of control. And yeah, that's secretly, and I know it's not that secret because you're going to broadcast this, but secretly, one of the reasons why I study some of this stuff is because I'm fucking afraid of it. And all the things that I'm afraid of, I need to understand.
Yeah, it's a nice way of looking at it. It's a good way of looking at it.
So,
what would you say to someone that's trying to get into that field? What's the best way for them to start off? Do they need to go and study computer science, or do you just go straight at it?
If you want to learn what deep learning, artificial intelligence, there's some really good courses online. You'd have to have you kind of need to have some mathematical. Well, you know what? You need to have an open mind. I'll say that. Because I was going to say you need to understand some mathematics and stuff like that, and that's true. But when I say that, it turns a lot of people off, because people are, I can't do maths. But it's just you can do maths. Like my niece says, she studied maths at university level. She says the whole thing about maths is just hanging in there while because while all the symbols are flying at you and you feel like you don't understand, and taking bite by bite chunks, and finally you get it. So, and I know a lot of people have got this kind of blinkered sort of view of maths. Oh, I can't do maths. I was never good at maths. Blah, blah, blah. No, you just take it. You just take it in smaller bites, basically. So, there's some really good Coursera. Coursera, that website. There's it's a really good course in machine learning and deep learning by Andrew Nay. I think that's how you pronounce it, but his surname is spelled N for November, G for golf.
Yeah.
He's got some really good courses on there. There's a Udacity course, funnily run by Google, which is in deep learning, a deep learning foundation course. They've got deep learning courses. They've got robotics courses. So there's another course by a group called Fast.ai. I think their website is Fast.ai, and if you want to learn about it, you just get in the course, and it will be hairy, but I've always said there's no such thing as difficult. There's just things that take more time. And just like a steep hill, if the hill's too steep when you're going up on your bike and it's hurting your legs, you just switch down a gear, take smaller bikes, and keep going.
It's true. But I'm assuming you have to learn like basic programming first, like go down the whole procedural programming and then object-oriented programming.
Not really. You don't need, no. I mean, most of the machine learning algorithms and libraries at the moment are written in Python. Python is a little bit object-oriented, but it's not very object-oriented. So you don't need to know that much object-oriented programming to understand the concepts. The Coursera machine learning course is all written in MATLAB or Octave, which is a very, very basic programming language. It's literally multiplying numbers. I was going to say factors and matrices, but people get freaked out by that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all very simple. And it takes you through that. You don't need to know that when you start. It will say, this is how you multiply a matrix with a vector. This is what we're doing. You take small bites and you go through.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask something that's still related, but it's kind of a more general thing, and it's related to black people. And what do you think about black people in technology? And do you think there is enough black people in technology, in your experience? Like, because every time you see these big companies, they tend not. I don't. Well, maybe there are actually in Africa, but I don't really hear much about them. And in my experience, it's kind of like there's not many. I don't see as many black people in IT as I would like to see. So I don't know. I don't know why it is. I don't know what it is. Because I know for a fact that black people love technology. They're always doing tech. Whether it's using computers or playing games or whatever. So in my experience, I would like to see more companies with black people in it. I don't know. What's your view on that? Do you think black people are scared of IT? Because even in my computer science degree, there wasn't that many there.
I don't know. I don't know what the reason is.
What is it that there's not enough role models?
There's just not. Okay, for a start, right? Without considering black people to start off with, there's not enough people in computers. I know the reason for that. The reason for that is that computers have become a consumption machine. Not many people are producing on computers at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a little bit unfair. Nobody's producing code on computers. A lot of people are posting to social media and receiving social media, but not many people are producing code. And there's not a culture of code at the moment, like there was when we were, say, growing up.
Yeah.
As for black people, what roles? What would you say? There's a lot of black people in. What do you think black people tend to? What kind of roles do you think black people tend to go into? Because
I think that we're. I think a lot. When you're growing up, you're influenced by what you see a lot. So you see. I mean, this has been talked about before on other media channels. I mean, they see things like sports and they see things like music and entertainment. I mean, it's almost like every black male wants to be a rapper at some point. Like
Is that true though?
even me.
I
Well,
don't
not
really
I mean
know.
not all of them, but I mean that's something that it's a lot. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I want to be a rapper, I want to be a rapper. And is it because they see so many successful like oh hold on, sorry, my screen's gone. So many successful rappers, so they feel like, oh, I can be a successful rapper, and so many successful sports personalities, so they go into that.
Is
Um,
that just a stereotype, or do you really? Is that your experience?
I think it's like a loop. It's a, it's what they see, so they think, oh, there's a high probability that I'll be successful if I go into that. Or it's either that I'm getting it completely wrong, and the ones that are doctors and lawyers and in IT and all that, they don't get highlighted, so you never hear about them. Or they don't,
I, I,
you know.
I still understand it. You know, as a people, we love song and we love dance and stuff. Um, but I don't really necessarily think that. I mean, in my experience, I never really and thought that I wanted to become a rapper. But what I did experience a lot of the time is um, I have experienced educate, like racism in education. People telling me that I will never amount to anything or I'll
Yeah.
never achieve something, and I feel like if your experience has been that a lot of black people that you've been in contact with want to become rappers or something like that, I would suggest that it might have been because the education system may have failed them.
Mm.
And being a rapper isn't something necessarily that you need a degree for, or so I wonder if people have been failed by the education system and
Yeah.
then they default into that. So
No, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that. See, I don't want to be the whole stereotype thing, but I'm just saying because it comes back to my thing about desire, like it's what they desire to be. And like, I mean, I've tried and tried and tried to get some of my nephews into IT and programming and just getting them involved, like even down the what I thought might be something that would really inspire them, like seeing an app on an Android, say, oh, like you can create your own app and things like that, and just zero interest. It's like it, and even if they are a little bit interested, as soon as you open up a terminal or something or a interface to show code, and it's like, oh, they just don't want to know. And then next minute they're back on playing their PS4, and I'm like, you're playing. Like, do you know what you're doing? Like, do you not have the feeling that you want to understand how this game is created? Like, and it's like, no, I'm not interested. I just want to play it, and it just I don't know, but maybe an IT person is a special sort of person. It's a special sort of mind to be like, oh my god, like how the hell is that computer doing that? And I want to take it apart and I want to understand how this machine and all the potential. And you see the potential. Maybe it's just a certain type of person that goes into IT full stop. And yeah, it's nothing to do with anything else. It's just that special type of person that's interested in IT.
I
Um,
think I think we were all driven essentially by some of the same, the same forces, and I think one of the things is like I think in some ways we were lucky, and because we had a computer culture when we were younger, and also computers were a bit shit.
so
computer games,
yeah.
computer games were a bit rubbish. Let's be real,
And they
right?
always had bugs and it
In,
kept crashing but like for
in, the,
me,
in the 80s,
yeah,
I think that there were some decent computer games still, but in the arcades, so you had to pay your 20p or your 50p or your pound. You go to the arcades, you pay your game, and then you come home. They ain't have this,
yeah,
and games, used to like maximum take a couple of hour, no, an hour maybe to finish, like
Yeah,
in the arcade.
the gameplay was good. The
The
gameplay,
gameplay was good. The gameplay was good. But what I'm saying is that you don't have this culture of being on, playing a game for like a game never used to take 3 weeks to complete. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like more
yeah,
times. So the most you kind of get through a game, and then the world of games was a lot smaller, and there was less to explore. And yeah, and there wasn't as much to explore, and so we kind of, or what I did, wanted to see a little bit more around that. And what I discovered was there was immense power in programming.
yeah,
I could order a pizza via code. I can search. Databases. I can find out with a few lines if anybody in my areas has ever been registered to sort of fascist websites or anything like that. There's lots of things you can hack. About a terminal, you can hack into Wi-Fi or all sorts of nonsense. So there's immense power in that, and that was one of the things that attracted me. But the thing is that, and here's the point of it: it is always power. It's power and prestige that the geeks and the nerds. That's why they're into computers,
yeah,
and it's power and prestige why the people that aren't nerds are into computers, because they don't want to be some kind of dodgy geek or whatever. They want to be, they want to be rapping, and they want to be doing cool stuff and getting recognition, and that's not the kind of recognition that they want. So I guess the point is, it's you have to show people, if we want more black people to be in IT and tech, we have to show them how empowering it is, and tune into their desires and show how this world can meet those desires.
yeah. I mean, I think even this, what we're doing right now, is actually something in itself. Um, seeing like two black people talking about IT, things like
Mm,
this, it will actually have an effect.
mm.
And you know, got to get off the whole it's all geeky, it's all nerdy sort of stuff, because it would seem that like the geeks rule the world um, at the moment. So it's not such a negative or bad thing, not uncool thing to be a bit geeky, I think. Um, so yeah,
It's not geek. I mean, yeah, it is. It is. It is kind of. It is kind of a bit geeky, but then again, everybody's geeks now. Like,
yeah,
I'd say that anybody's into their computer. Like, if you're sitting down there and you're playing Skyrim or whatever or Fortnite,
yeah. That is
that's really damn
it
geeky, man.
is
Like, you got all
it
those,
is. It might not be a board. It
all
might
the
not be a
different
board
guns,
game,
and
but
you're running
it's a game.
around
Yeah,
and you spending time. You
and
just
you're like
sort of like
there.
collecting all the different costumes. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
get in the room and you're ignoring her. That's damn geeky, man.
it
Come on,
is.
this is real. That's the proper. You
It
know the
is.
difference. You know the difference.
It is,
The
but they don't see
difference.
it. They don't see. That's true, It is geeky, but they don't see it as
Damn
geeky.
geeky, man. But it's not even geeky. It's nerdy, right? So I think
I'm not
I
sure what
might
the
get the I
difference
might
is,
get the
nerd and geek.
yeah. So let me just break down the difference as I remember it. The difference between a geek and a nerd is that a geek is somebody who's very much into their subject. Do you know what I mean? But they're quite intelligent and charismatic people. And a nerd is some fucking dude that's got a very small world.
So
Is
socially not there.
socially inept, can't really communicate with people,
Yeah.
just in this really small world and this really screwed up place, and it actually isn't very intelligent. So
Well,
you don't, like nerds aren't actually, I mean, to a nerd by definition doesn't necessarily mean someone who's intelligent. It's just some kind of social outcast,
I
misfit sort of dude.
yeah. I wasn't sure about the difference. I used to think it was
Let
more
me have a
like
I'll look it up.
it was like I used to think it was like geek was like what you said. They're into their subjects because you could be a geek of shoes. You could be a geek of trainers, like you have loads of trainers in your house, so you're into your
Yeah,
subjects, you know it
yeah,
really well. Anyone can ask you about like vintage clothing in certain period, and you know about it. So it could be anything, not not just IT, obviously, but I would say, and but that you could be very sociable when you get on with people and blah blah blah. But when you get into your subjects, you're talking about airplanes or whatever, and
yeah,
then I would say like a nerd is almost. I would say a nerd is a geek, but right on the extreme end of the scale, it, because it's the social part is completely gone. Like socially and interacting with other human beings and so forth is gone.
yeah,
So I would
yeah,
say, but because usually nerds are, for them to be a nerd, they usually isolate themselves and they know their stuff and they're really good at it, but they can't communicate.
yeah. And that's the
But I might be
aspect that
wrong.
I
I might
really,
be wrong.
that's the aspect that I really kind of understand. But and here's the point: like, if you're a geek, right, you're into computers or something, and you're studying all this sort of like stuff. Because to be honest, when you first start learning programming, it can be a bit boring.
Mm.
Um, but you've got a wider vision. You're thinking, okay, either get I want to get my money on in a few years' time, and I want to have this car, and I want to be going to these parties, I want to have this certain clothes, and want to get my swag on, and whatever, or I want to make a difference to the world. I want to be one of the people who are forming and changing society, or I just want to be able to empower myself to deal with the amount of social change and be flexible, whatever. That's someone like you're doing a kind of you're doing a kind of geeky subject. Yeah, it doesn't sound cool. It just makes everybody's eyes glaze over when you talk about it at dinner. But you got a mission, yeah. You got an idea. I mean, all like doctors and like nerds. But like you're sitting in front of a computer game, that's proper non-so. You got no. There's no social plan. There's no outlook. There's no
Oh, so,
nothing. It's very nerdy. There's nothing outside
oh,
of.
yeah. Go on, sorry.
There's nothing outside. There's no bigger picture. You know what I mean? I think a geek has a bigger picture than just the subject. Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
the social aspect. He's got the vision. He's got the dreams. A nerd, there's no bigger picture. And like playing computer games and wasting your time like that is really nerdy. And the same goes for Facebook. People, let's break it down. Let's be real about this, right?
Mm.
You're spending most of your time on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, in YouTube. You're a nerd. You're a
Yeah.
nerd. Just
Did
you're in a small world and you're not chatting. Well, you might be chatting to people, but you're not socially interacting
That's weird,
on
isn't
a
it?
human level.
Because you're being social, but you're not being social. So it's like, so did you look it up? Did you look nerd and geek up?
I did. It says the difference between geeks and nerds. Nerds are smart people who lack much of a social life. They often have few friends. Nerds don't talk much and don't expect others to talk to them. They're usually nice people, but don't have the social skills to go out and meet new friends. Geeks are different from nerds in the fact that they have social lives. However, these social lives are often spent pursuing some passion that the geek is obsessed with. They spend their time thinking about one obsession and they play in it in all of their free time. Geeks are usually friends with other geeks, and attempts to converse with geeks is futile, unless, of course, you want to talk about Star Trek or whatever the certain geek is obsessed with. So,
Yeah, I think we kind of got it right.
yeah,
Yeah.
something there, yeah.
Yeah, it's the sort of social aspect of it, I suppose. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so question is, do you want to call it a day now, or do you want to? You got?
Yeah, I think that's enough. Yeah, I think that'll do. I think that'll do for a good first episode. We can edit it and chop it up. So,
Yeah. So the question is,
yeah,
are you on social media yet, or do you want to like, have you got Facebook or social media, Twitter or anything, or are you going to start one up, or maybe we can just like when you do have one, put it in the description or something later.
yeah. I'll put it in the description later if I want to put it in.
Yeah. Okay. So with me, oh my gosh. Anyway, this YouTube channel for the time being. I'm working on a website that I've been working on forever, and it's not happened. But it will happen. Don't worry. And when it happens, I'll let you know. So anyway, click subscribe, click like, and all the other stuff, and share, and blah 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 blah. Trust me, there's gonna be like loads of more videos. Trust me.
Well,
Trust.
whenever we're going to be talking, we're going to be recording from now on. So
Yeah.
there'll be
Trust.
much.
And it's quite interesting because we kind of stuck on that one subject. I hope it wasn't too long, but yeah, it's good. All right then. Peace.